Hey everybody, Sound Shape here. I'm gonna play around with this microphone some more. Hopefully make some nice sounds for you. Tonight I'm gonna do some of these little tappy, crinkly, plasticky type sounds. And we're gonna have some brushing, a little bit of mic brushing. And a few other things, and I thought while we did that, and I thought while I do that, I might tell you a kind of funny story. And, if you're listening to this to go to sleep, you don't have to pay attention. Just let my voice kind of lull you into a nice, comfortable place. And pay attention if you feel like it, and ignore it if you don't feel like it. I hope everybody is doing well. Before I get into the story, I just wanted to say thank you. You guys are always surprising me with your very, very encouraging comments, and you're incredibly kind. Every time I think that you've topped it, you top it again and say something incredibly encouraging and kind. You're wonderful people, and thank you very much. I've been talking to a lot of you, and it's been such a great time getting to know some subscribers, some other content creators, getting more and more involved in the community. It's been a really good thing. Thanks for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoy this video. And of course, here's the part where I say, if you do, please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. It helps out, and I appreciate it. The thing I appreciate most is your comments, though. It means a lot when you take the time to just let me know what you thought about something that I did. It means a lot, so thank you. I appreciate it. Why don't we switch things up here a little bit? If you are stressed, you have come to the right place. So this story I want to tell you is pretty funny. Well, at least it is to me, remembering it now. I don't know how funny I thought it was at the time, which is kind of what makes it so funny now. So my friend and I were both, I was 19, I think he was 20 or 21. And his father was purchasing a car from his grandfather. So my friend's grandfather was selling his father his old car, and my friend and I were going down, taking the bus to drive this car back to our state where we live. And so we took this 30-hour epic bus ride down to his father's and grandfather's hometown in Arkansas. And that was an adventure in and of itself, just that long bus ride, boy, it was something else. But we got there at I don't know what time, some early time in the morning. It was at least 2 or 3 in the morning. Crashed out, and we spent a couple of days with his family, his grandparents, and a bunch of relatives. Very sweet people. Ate some really good southern food. Cajun food. And after a couple of days visiting with his family, we drove this really old car back. It was a 1969 Pontiac Catalina. It had 30,000 miles on it. This car had literally only been driven to and from church and maybe the grocery store a time or two. They hardly drove this car. So, in all those years, it only had 30,000 miles. We got all the way through Texas, and we had a good time. We're listening to music, driving way too fast, as you do when you're that age. Well, especially when you're that age. Got through Texas, went through New Mexico, no problems getting towards the New Mexico-Colorado border. And there's a little town called Raton, which is just on the southern side of a very significant mountain pass called Raton Pass. So that's the only place that you can stop and get gas, things like that. Well, I am really glad that I had my window all the way up, most of the way up, because just as we were about to pull into Raton, I heard the most terrible noise, and it was the tire shredding. The back tire had completely disintegrated, and the tread actually flipped up. Somehow it came and smacked that window and scared the bejesus out of me. If that window had been open, which a lot of the trip I had it all the way down, like you do, so I thought I'd try a few little clicking sounds. Let me know if you like this. I won't do too many of them, but if you like it, I can add them in and do more. So this tread came, smacked the window. Somehow it didn't break the window, but, of course, he pulls us over. And we're both freaked. But he gets us off the road, and we realized that it's Memorial Day. In the United States, Memorial Day is a holiday. And particularly in places like small towns, nobody's open. So we had a flat tire, and somehow we did not have a lug wrench. We had checked that there was a spare, and I think he assumes that the lug wrench and jack were together because he saw the jack was underneath the spare tire, so we assumed that the lug wrench was there. Turns out it was not. So we had no way to get the tire off to replace it with the spare. So I have to jog into town while he stays with the car because we got all our stuff and we had musical gear and stuff like that in the car. We can't leave it there on the side of the highway. So I jog a couple of miles into town and nobody is open. I'm trying to find somewhere that just has a lug wrench so that we can change our own tire. Well, the only place I find is like a gas station, and the guy says, well, I have a tow truck, but I gotta charge you for a tow if I'm gonna come out there. I said, all I need to do is borrow your wrench. I can change our own tire. He says, no, I gotta charge you if you're gonna... Of course. So I jump in the tow truck. We go cruising back. My friend is wondering why the hell I'm with a tow truck. I have to explain to him that this guy wouldn't let me borrow his wrench without charging me, so we have to pay to have a tow. We decide to just have him go ahead and put the spare on. He puts the spare on. We pay the guy, and we continue on our way. And you'd think, okay, well, that was fun. Funny little story. Glad our little glitch for the mission is over, right? So we go up into Raton Pass, and we're cruising along, and it's raining pretty good. The roads are pretty slippery. People are driving way too fast, like they do. And wouldn't you know, on the downside of the other side of the pass, the spare goes. Of course. So we have no spare. We are in a raining mountain pass, and it's pouring. And it's Memorial Day. And we can't leave the car because we have all this stuff. So we wait till the rain stops. I think that took about half hour, 45 minutes. And then we both stood outside the car, stuck our thumb out, and we're hoping somebody would just help us out. The next town was a few miles outside the pass, or basically at the north side of the pass, called Trinidad. So, after quite some time, we finally get a rancher to pull over. He has a trailer with several horses on the back of this enormous Ford truck. And he pulls over, and we explain that we need a ride into town. He says, yeah, Trinidad, okay. I hop in the back of this guy's pickup in front of these horses who are staring at me like, well, who the hell is this guy? And his two kids are sitting in the middle of the seat, and his wife, and they're both kind of looking back at me like, who the hell is this guy? I wave goodbye to my friend. He stays with the car once again. And away I go. And so we cruise down out of the, and I'm hoping it's not going to rain and everything else, right? So Trinidad has maybe 4 exits off of the highway. And so we get down into Trinidad and past the first exit. I said, okay, he's going to get me a little further into town. That's fine. No problem. Past the second exit. I start thinking, okay, I'm sure he's going to pull over because I think there's only maybe one more exit. I don't think maybe there's two more, but I'm not sure. I know there's only one more for sure. There might not be any more after that. I'm not sure. He passes the third exit, and I start going, oh crap. Where is this guy going to take me? And I start considering whether I need to jump out the back of this truck and what that's going to do to me. If I hit the road going how fast we're going. Finally, we get off on the fourth exit. Everything's fine. He pulls over. I get off. I thank the man. He would not take any money. Sweetest old guy. And that was one of my first experiences with true kindness. That man would not take any money. He just wanted to help us out. And, we were two young guys. It probably, we'd been on the road for several days. Probably didn't look like the greatest, most trustworthy people, but this guy still pulled over and helped us out. That had a really big impact on me. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to tell this story, because aside from being funny and amusing, maybe, it was a meaningful thing that happened. I like to share that kind of stuff. So, I get on the phone. I make a collect call to his dad because they don't have change at the gas station. This is back in the days of payphones, of course. This was in 1993, so that gives you an idea how old I am. But I make the call, and his dad says, well, I don't know what to do. You figure it out. And he hangs up. So I start scouting around and trying to find somebody who maybe has a spare tire. There are a few more places that are open, but still most of the places are closed. This is why they didn't have change at the gas station, because they hadn't got their shipment of cash and change and stuff that day. It's a small town thing, I guess. But long story wrapped up here. I was able to get a guy at a gas station to get his friend to sell me a tire off of the back of his trailer that fit on the rim that we had. And we went back in his tow truck and were able to get the spare on. My friend and I were able to limp back home with this little rigged up spare from some kind of a trailer camper RV thing. I don't know quite what it was. I think it was like a teardrop type of kind of mini camper thing. But yeah, we limped home. We went to a village inn that we always like to hang out, had a few cups of coffee, and told a bunch of our friends this crazy story that happened. I went home and I went to sleep, and we had quite a story to tell after that from then on. But I do not recommend hitchhiking, especially not nowadays. But it just kind of does go to show that there are still good people out there in the world. thank you for spending some time here tonight with me. Or today, whatever time it may be, at this moment that you're listening. I hope you enjoyed my little story. And I hope these sounds gave you some nice tingles, and that you were able to relax for a few minutes while I told you about a silly thing that happened to a teenager. Before I go, there was just one or two things I wanted to say. I wanted to give a special thank you to a certain incredibly kind and very generous man named David Hendricks, whom you are all undoubtedly pretty familiar with. David has been supportive, I think, from literally the very first day. I'm not sure, but his encouragement and kindness and willingness to retweet things that I sent and encourage me to, I see him do that for everyone. He's just this angel watching out for everybody. We really appreciate you, David. Thank you for everything that you do for this community. It's when you put yourself out there, it's a little nerve-wracking, and having somebody step in and say, hey, good job, I liked that, do some more of that, that goes a long way. So thank you for that. I've had conversations with other people about that, about your contribution specifically, so if you're listening, I hope you know how much we appreciate you. I'm going to wrap it up here, but thanks again for taking some time. I hope you're more relaxed. I hope you had some tingles. I hope you liked my little goofy story. Oops. Thank you for listening, and take care of yourself, and take care of each other. See you guys next time.